Hello everyone, I'm Bradu and I'm going to do a little artcast here. It's a habit I'd like to get back into. I've been a little lax either. I haven't been doing that many artcasts, mostly because of the projects I'm working on are not stuff I can do openly, of the hush-hush variety. Anyway, I got a little commission here that I'm going to work on. I'll be doing this in Copic grays, cool grays, on Bristol, and I don't know, there's a little bit of experimentation here in that I might just, oh man, my back is hurting today. I might just try and go for it and go start to finish with this. We'll see. Normally I would do the penciling stage first and then give it a rest for a day or at least for an hour or whatever, and then a lot of patterns and stuff in her clothing there. I'm not going to get as detailed as that is. Kids can be hard to draw. Similar to drawing women, they just have such tender features that it's not as forgiving as drawing gruff old men, who are kind of like ugly and lots of character. Kids have those, like, they got real, I don't know, just real soft features. This is my normal method for drawing. I tend to print up my reference at the size I'm going to draw it. I use negative space quite a bit, in terms of rather than starting from the middle, which I did a little bit, but I'm looking at this space here when I even start making those marks. I'm going right up to almost to the very top of this, and that's kind of how I get my placements accurate early on, or try to anyway. In hindsight, I already kind of wish I would have printed this up more cropped in, more of a zoom in, so her head took up most of the space. But since I started it this way, I'm going to stick with this for now. Let's see if I can get those kind of out of the way. I don't know, we'll see. I've been using Sketchy as kind of a warm-up, and I think it's helping. My sketchy drawings aren't necessarily like getting better, because I'm used to drawing a little bit more like this, where I'm very what's that word everybody uses, precious, which is fitting for this. I'm very precious with my movements and try and make sure all of the marks are right, whereas when I'm doing a sketchy, like warm-up kind of sketch, I should probably tell what that is, because even though I talked about it a little bit on one of those videos, one or two, I can't remember, maybe I've only done one. If you haven't seen that, you might not know. Sketchy is an app for artists, but it's not only artists on there. Anybody can join up and post pictures, photos, like this. Somebody could post a photo of their kids, and then artists will come on and have references to draw. So if I were to take this photo off of Sketchy, I would draw it, and then when I upload the art, I would connect it to that photo, so that when you look at a photo, you can see all of the different art that has been a derivative of that photo. And so it's really kind of a neat tool for, I don't know, for me, I don't really have time to spend a great deal of time on those type of drawings. I'm already caught up talking and just going over my same marks over and over again rather than progressing with the drawing. See that I've got the ear too high. Anyway, so what I'm using Sketchy for is, if I know I'm going to sit down and draw for a couple hours, I'll pull up Sketchy and find a photo real quick and do like a 10-minute warm-up sketch from it, as opposed to trying to do a real, like, full fine-tuned drawing. And that's a way that I can stay active on the app and make a connection with other artists and people on there, and have art continually be creating art that it's okay for me to show without investing too much time into something like that clearly doesn't pay and doesn't get me any progress towards completing the projects that I'm currently working on and things like that. But I've been enjoying the app, and I'm trying to use it a little bit experimental too. So like this morning I did one of a guy with a lot of character to him. I can show you. Well, I'm not going to show you because I'm in the middle of drawing. Maybe I'll show at the end of the video if I remember. But anyway, I've been feeling like I haven't been getting dark enough darks in my drawings, so I wanted to go darker, and so I used a charcoal pencil. I didn't love the drawing. I didn't capture his likeness as well as I would have liked to, or his character. But it wasn't terrible either, and it was, a good, worthwhile experiment. For that reason, I want to use charcoal more often. Charcoal. I like charcoal pencils, but I haven't used them much at all, really. This is going to be tricky. Very cute kid. This is for a coworker of mine. This profile, this edge of her face here, has more character. It looks almost straight, but it has a little bit more character than that. And it's going to be tricky to get those subtleties in there. And yet those are the important things about getting somebody's likeness and making a drawing that's going to be rather interesting, I'm going to use Copic markers for the final, but I think the pencil, I think I might use more pencil than multiliner in this. I don't know if I'll go in with the multiliner on the eyebrows and stuff. They're just not very pronounced. The eyes are real important. Kids have the real almond-shaped eyes. How big her eyes are. We'll see how this goes. Going straight into it with the markers rather than holding off. I'm going at this one with sort of an understanding that I may end up having to redo it, but we'll see. Maybe it'll work out just right the first time. Let's see, her nose is a little bit wonky here. I'm not sure why. That nostril's too high, maybe. I could always do this in 2 parts too if I need to, but I don't know. I might just go with it anyway and see where we end up. Let's see, so sketchy. I know I had a point about that somewhere in there. Is that eye too high? Nose. The problem with the nose is it's not lining up with the mouth. That little part of the lip like that. So with sketchy, I've been trying pretty hard not to do the type of stuff I'm doing right here, which is, really honing in on the details. I've been trying to use it as a 10-minute quick sketch, is what I would call it. Quick sketch tool. Bring that eye down a little bit too. Let's see. I'd love to get back to, 100 days type thing where I'm giving more routine updates. When I was doing my daily videos, I was really connected to drawing and art and to posting stuff online and all that. And I've really hit a spot where even though I'm as busy as ever on art, I'm a lot more disconnected with the social media aspect. And even with keeping track of my own self and progress and what I'm doing, um, it's amazing the wonders that the daily videos and daily tracking and everything will do towards that. So I'm kind of missing that a little bit, and maybe I'll have a chance to get back into it. I'm also, and this might be part of the reason I haven't been art casting much lately, I'm in a really weird spot. You ever feel like in your life you're just waiting for things to calm down to that normalcy so you can get into your routines and everything? Well, I've been out of that for quite a while, and it's out of my control to a large degree. But what I'm doing is transitioning to doing art full-time or close to full-time. And it's just sort of, nothing's really final yet. So it's hard for me to discuss it freely and openly. That's gonna sound a little bit mysterious, and I just can't go into a whole lot more detail than that. What I can tell you about it is we're having a baby. It's a baby. My wife's pregnant. It's not a secret anymore, but at the same time, we never really made a big sweeping declaration. She's not even on Facebook or anything. And you know, we kind of kept it a secret even from our families until it was safe, till you hit like the 3 months or whatever. It's looking okay, right? And you know that everything looks okay so far, and you know, you just don't want to jump the gun on that sort of thing. Like I said, my wife's really kind of a private person. And so I never, even when we started telling our families, I never like jumped in and said, guess what, everyone? Guess what, world? We're pregnant. I just kind of told my closer friends and stuff as I saw them or as I talked to them. Very few people did I actually like go out of my way to call up and tell or whatever, which has created a little bit of awkwardness because some people are still just finding out, and it's like, well, I'm really sorry. I just didn't announce it, you know, and so some people are finding out in ways like this. Oh, I saw you made a comment on somebody else's Facebook about, you know, you were discussing baby stuff. You're pregnant? What? Not me, personally. But yeah, so my wife's pregnant. Baby's due sort of any day now. I think we're about 2 weeks from the speculated due date at this point. But it could be any day. But the plan is, at least at the start, I'll pretty much do the stay-at-home daddy full-time art thing. I realize those two things don't really mix. Some other stay-at-home daddy artists have told me all about how little I should expect that to work, and that's okay. Um, I'll just have to do the best I can with it. That's going to be my reality. But I'm not 100% there yet. I'm still at work sometimes right now, and it's just so, it just makes it hard to fully go in. Hang on, I need to get a marker. To fully go into that mode of like, I'm doing art full on right now. I guess I'm here. It appears I'm missing a multi-liner. Oh, here we go. It's here right in front of my eyes. Okay. So that's where we are so far. I got the Got the basic pencil lines in. I'm feeling alright about that. It's going to be tough to... This is such a nice photo. Cute little girl. And it's going to be tough to capture that. So I'll just give you an example. This is my reference photo for Walter White. That one will be easy. That's such a dramatic... I don't mean easy, but what I mean is there's so much character in the wrinkles and the eyes and all this stuff that it will be easier to make that drawing have a lot of character. Whereas this one, I printed up one with a little more contrast and one that's a little more realistic so that I could kind of bounce back and forth between the two. But, you know, a baby or a child doesn't have all this character. There's this big spot here that's really flat. And I'll try and give it a little bit of volume, but it's going to be a lot more subtle than what you see in good old Walter there. So I'm going to do the multi-liner. This is a step I sometimes skip depending on what I'm working on and my mood. But I'm going to use it sparingly. Perhaps, we'll see. And then jump into the markers. Anyway, so yeah, I'm transitioning to art full-time as sort of a trial run. I haven't quit my job. I'm not really planning on quitting my job. But we'll see how that goes. I guess what I can say about that is if the artwork full-time thing, staying home with a kiddo, makes sense financially and I'm able to bring in enough money and we're saving enough money on not needing childcare and all that, then maybe I'll try and do that permanently or semi-permanently, at least while our kiddo is young. And so we'll see. I'm really hopeful about it. I'm really excited about it. But I also have a lot of fears. Maybe is it fears about that? Not sure if that's the right word. I'm not really afraid of anything. But it is scary. And it seems... I'm afraid of failure, I guess. Isn't everybody? That's the name of the game. I want that to be a successful plan. And I'm finding that even now, when there's not a kid around to distract me, I'm having a tough time with time management. There was the artcasters, that was their topic of discussion a couple weeks ago. And I was like, man, that's hitting home for me. And I'm not really sure where the issue lies just yet. I'm just trying to sort it out. I wrote up myself a little schedule the other day, and I think as soon as I can really start to implement that, it's a schedule for when I know that I've got the whole day to draw, basically. If I can start to implement that, I think I'll be okay. I think that'll really help. But man, it's like I can get up bright and early in the morning with every intention of getting going and getting a lot done. And somehow it always seems to take me a fair amount of time, like as in more than an hour, before I'm sitting and actually drawing and actually making marks. And I'm not really sure why. There's a lot of contributing factors and I'm still trying to sort that out. But it's like I get up, take my first morning poop, maybe get some breakfast, brush my teeth, do all that kind of morning stuff, shower, clean up. By then it's time, half hour has gone by. It's time for my second morning poop. And, and then maybe I'm like, I'll answer some emails or whatever, do a little bit of social media activity if I have anything to respond to and all that jazz. And then, by now it's like an hour and a half's gone by. I've been up and I should have been drawing 45 minutes ago, but I'm still not quite there yet. And then I have to take my third morning poop. And I'm exaggerating somewhat here. And anyway, it just sometimes, some days, it's like I don't sit down and start drawing for a friggin' while, and I can't seem to quite sort that out. I will say that the few times that I went on the morning Artcaster show, Artist Hangout, no, it was Artcasters, with Jeff Lafferty and Jay Ferguson and sometimes Scott Circlin and Kevin Cross, whoever showed up. I was on it because I knew that I had to be online drawing with them I feel like it started at like 7:30 my time or something. So I would set my alarm 15-20 minutes earlier, get up, get going, get a cup of coffee, and be ready to be on the show at that time. And that's why I'm thinking maybe I'll do a lot better if I can really implement a schedule and try and hold to it. Because what's happening is it's not a lack of motivation for sure. I'm not sure where the problem is, but I'm not getting down to business as quickly as I should. And so then all of a sudden it's like the day goes by so darn quick, and I'm like, I should have gotten a couple more hours of drawing in than I did, and I'm not sure why sometimes. So that's something I definitely have to work on as I make this more of a job and less of a hobby. So we'll see. That's definitely a challenge for me. I've been creeping towards, taking art more seriously for years now, ever since I started doing the sketch cards for companies. But now it's getting to be more of a reality. That it's like, I have to treat it as a job. And I also feel if I won't be bringing in a paycheck consistently from my day job, there's definitely more pressure on me to help support my family with the kiddo in the mix. A little turd burglar. That's the nickname I've already got picked out for a little one. Got to be some other good ones though. I'm on the hunt if you have good kid nicknames that are silly and funny. I might go with one of my grandma's favorites. She always called me a little stick in the mud. I'll throw that in from time to time for kicks. But I need some other good ones. We're not finding out what we're going to have, though I have a very strong feeling it will be a boy. Mostly because my wife's doctor keeps bringing up, now have you had the circumcision discussion? It's very important. We're like, can we focus on something else? We've had the circumcision discussion, okay? We get it. We're having a boy, but you're not supposed to tell us. So we'll see. Alright, here we go. Ready for markers. I grabbed black. I never end up using black. I don't know if drawing on a baby is the time to bring in black, but we'll see if I get that far or not. Hope I'm staying on camera. I've been talking and getting caught up in the conversation as usual. Man, I was talking a little bit about wanting to get back to a routine of doing more art casts, whether it's myself or whether I get on with other artists or whatever. Any way that I do it, it is something I want to do more of. But man, I miss that sort of thing. It's especially nice when there are other artists on, because I can have moments where I don't have to carry the conversation alone, and can concentrate on what I'm doing if I'm working on a tricky spot in the drawing or something along those lines. But I feel like I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with drawing and talking, which is always a challenge and a trick. Let's see, what else do I have that's on my mind. I've always been a big supporter of sketch cards, and I've always, when everybody else is dogging on working for sketch card companies and stuff, I'm the one who's so, no, it's great. Everything is great. I like it. But I have had some more frustrations than usual lately. So, in keeping with my theme of not being the one complaining about it, I'm going to refrain from complaining at this point in time. But suffice it to say, some things have been happening that have made it a lot harder to be happy about it at times. And then at other times, it's fantastic. The set I'm working on right now, that's been taking up most of my time, is great. I have a couple complaints about that, but it has nothing to do with, it's just normal artist stuff and finding the right supplies type of thing, not aimed at the company by any stretch, or the way that anything's being handled. It's actually a project I'm really excited for, and it's a new set I haven't worked on, sort of, and I'm really excited to see if it helps get me, more of an audience or whatever. I'm the only artist on this set, and that's one of the big benefits to it. That has a tendency to draw more attention than, in Star Wars I'm one of 100 artists, on a given set. You can get lost in the shuffle. I don't want to be lost in the shuffle, but let's see. Somehow I made her kind of looking at the viewer, and in this she's looking kind of off to the side. So I'll have to see if I can bring that around and kind of fix that up a little. So anyway, I have been sticking with spending most of my art time on sketch cards, and with the exception of the medical drawings, which I've had to take a little bit of a backseat, mainly due to this set I'm working on right now having a harsh deadline, and me having to try to get ready for a baby at the same time as I'm getting these cards done. So, like I said, I was talking earlier about waiting until things get to kind of a normal routine or whatever. It may never. It might be really difficult to get there, but that's one of the things I think, when this baby comes and I do get on a little bit of a normal routine, I'll be balancing between cards and this medical drawing project a little bit more, I think. Whew. Let's try 0. I don't use 0 too often because it's so darn light, but I feel like it's going to be necessary here to give a little more form and shape to this child's face. This is for a coworker. I'm cutting my thoughts off. I know that I was getting to some point and now talking about something else. So whatever it was I was just talking about, I'm not sure if I can remember and jump back into it. We'll see. But I think I was saying that I'm primarily still at this point doing mostly sketch cards. And you know, it's like there's something really repetitive about sketch cards. You know, a lot of artists, whatever art they're doing, takes them several sittings for each drawing or painting or whatever. And with sketch cards, oftentimes I'll get several done in a day, and it's like, you know, I might be doing 20 or 50 or whatever for a given set, and it can get repetitive, and that might seem, you know, I don't know, to some of you guys that might kind of seem like, same thing over and over. Doesn't that seem boring? Well, not for me. I like it. At least so far, I'm quite content with sketch cards, and I love working on them. It does help me a lot to not be over, what's the word I'm looking for? To not get in over my head on any given set and take smaller numbers. I'd much rather, usually, unless the pay is off the charts good, I usually try and stick to doing 10 or 15 or 20 cards for a given set, as opposed to doing a bunch more. And that way, that's one way that I fight that. That's one way that I, you know, keep things kind of fresh and exciting. How much do I want to try and do this pattern? And another thing that's nice about that is you don't take as big a risks that way. You don't put all your eggs in one basket, kind of. And, you know, if something goes wrong, like for instance, you know, the first year I was doing sketch cards, I did one set where I was the only artist, and so I was super pumped about it. And the pay was good. So I did 100 cards for this set. And then before the set ever came out, that company folded. And that was a blow to me. I did get paid for it. Thank goodness. But those cards never saw the light of day. And so the big exposure I was going to get for working on that set never happened. And that's rough, man. If I could go back and do it over again, I still probably think I'd make the same decision, given that I was the only artist on it and that the pay was so nice. But, you know, under normal circumstances, I don't want to do 100 cards for any set because you're putting too much on the line. It's too big of a commitment. With sketch cards, sometimes there's no guarantee, if that makes any sense too. The market can change rather quickly, and there's no denying it's on a down shift or whatever you would call that. I mean, I don't know. I used to have a number in my head for what I would get for artist proofs on a given set, and oftentimes by the time the set comes out and I have my artist proofs, that number has gone dramatically downhill. So that's something I got to be real careful with. Alright, I gotta do something to capture this girl's character, because right now I don't really have the likeness, is how I feel. And it's going to be in the eyes, and probably a little bit in the shape of the nose and the mouth. Darken up the hair a bit. But right now I really got to get down to getting her eyes right. Look at it upside down for a second. Darkening the eyes will help, but really it's getting the shape of the eyes. See, from upside down, it looks pretty accurate in terms of placement and things like that. It's a good way to look at your drawing. I was thinking of a fun thing I might try soon for an artcast that's really not anything mind-blowing or whatever, but it might attract attention from viewers, is I might try and do a whole drawing upside down on an artcast just for kicks. So we'll see. That was an idea that came to me this morning for whatever reason. And in fact, I think I did record not a whole drawing, but just a quick sketch of drawing upside down for the, just like when I started out with the pencil on this one. I just did the pencil portion upside down. Alright, here we go. Let's get this eye. Bring that over a little. It's going to be a little dark there, but that's okay. Going to try and get that thing where, like I said, it gets her eye not necessarily looking right at the viewer. Eyelashes are tough too, especially on such a small scale. On this scale, that's about all you can do for eyelashes, just a couple little marks. But on a normal sized drawing, which I don't do anymore very often anyway, the hint I can give other artists is don't try and draw each individual eyelash, draw them in clumps sort of. So don't go like that. Go kind of, does that make sense? So because eyelashes tend to stick together, so that 2 or 3 or 4 might be stuck together in one little clump. Alright. Continuing on. I get myself distracted with little side conversations with myself. Let's see. As an artist, I tend to pride myself on my strength being capturing the likeness. I kind of feel like, so what I'm saying about that is I'm having a struggle with that, with capturing the likeness here, but it's really important to me. Part of me thinks I maybe should have done kid drawings on my sketchy warm-ups for a few days before starting this drawing. I really only found out about this commission yesterday. And under normal circumstances, it probably should wait a little bit, as in I should be doing, other things that were lined up first, but this fit really well with being able to do an art cast, and that's how it kind of jumped in line. I don't have a bunch of commissions lined up or anything, but I feel like I might have a couple that I can't really think of. I haven't really been thinking about commissions or trying to push for commissions or anything right now until this set I'm working on is done and sent off. And I've got 2 weeks left, maybe not quite. Well, we'll see. The deadline might be up in the air too, because there was definitely an issue with that. There was a delay on their end, and so I don't know if they're going to try and get me more time. It may not matter if they do, because if they do get me more time, it might fall right in line with when the baby's born. So, give me an extra week, and if that's the first week that the baby's alive, I'm not going to get much done during that extra week. We'll see. They know about that, so I don't know if that'll end up being an issue or not. But anyway, I haven't been pushing for commissions lately because of that. And so we'll see. That's one of the big things that I gotta sort out and figure out how I'm gonna do it. if I'm going to be doing art pretty much full time. And that is, I gotta find the right balance between doing set work and you know, my medical drawings for that project, because that's kind of a long-term ongoing project, and fitting in commissions, which is where I get, you know, immediate money, because, you know, I get paid theoretically as soon as the commission is done. Or actually, generally speaking, I try and take payment up front. And sometimes I cut breaks on that, like if it's a repeat customer, sometimes I give them the benefit of the doubt. And what I'm finding is it's not really worth doing it that way. I've had people buy 5 or 6 or 7 pieces from me and then all of a sudden disappear and not. I'll have one completed and they're gone, not answering emails, not paying. I've had that happen more than once. And so it's just, man, unless I know you personally, I'm probably going to ask for money up front. I do have a couple repeat customers that I think I probably would trust further more than usual. And yet those ones that I can think of are the type who would have no problems paying up front anyway, so it wouldn't come to that. So I sort of have the policy of I expect payment up front. Some artists do half up front. That's fine too. It's just a little bit of an extra. I don't know. Do you really want to have to pay 2 separate times? I do kind of get it. You know, it depends on your financial situation too. You know, if it's a little bit of a stretch for you to pay for, I don't, you know, if I'm doing a larger drawing, which I haven't been doing lately, but and getting $150 for it, it's that I kind of get. If you got to pay $50, you know, 2 or 3 times. Whereas with a sketch card, usually I think it's just kind of extra work to make 2 separate payments. But I would, if that's how you've got to do it, I would certainly be open to that. I don't know why I'm talking about this right now. Let's try and get hair. Hair is kind of like I was talking about the eyelashes earlier. Hair is kind of the same in that you don't try and draw each individual hair. I drew a few strands here, but mostly I'm just trying to find where the dark areas are and just really gesture them in there and leave areas like this for where the highlight is. That's what's going to make it look like hair, is leaving those spots that are a little bit lighter. And thus, it's just like anything else, finding the shapes of light and dark that'll give the illusion of hair. And I'll go back in probably and, you know, put a few individual strands too, but for the most part this might work. This is only the second time I think that I've done a personal portrait type commission on a sketch card. She's looking right at the viewer. Not sure what to do about that or how to fix that. Maybe the highlights in the eyes will fix it. Looks like I didn't get a white gel pen. Let's see. Do I have one in reach? No. I should. Put a few highlights in real quick. I try and have everything I need right in reaching distance right from the get-go, but it doesn't always work out that way. Alright, nice big highlights in the eye here. I do think maybe if I keep moving the, what's that part? The iris of the eye over, maybe that'll help with making it look like she's not looking right at the viewer. But maybe it'll just be that way. And there's nothing I can do about it. We'll see. This clump got a little thicker than I wanted, but it's okay. Nobody will notice except I just told you guys. Alright, do I have anything else to talk about until I finish this up? I'm not really sure. I covered a little bit about what's going on in my life, which is really exciting. I could go on and on about that. It is both exciting and terrifying, yes. Maybe I shouldn't admit this as an artist. I'm not a big fan of drawing patterns and things like that into folds in clothing. I don't want the focus of a drawing to be the details such as this. But at the same time, I do want to kind of gesture them in there and make it look a little bit the way it looks. Like this, I want to have a little bit of a soft, fuzzy feel, so I'll try and put a little bit of texture in there anyway. This side over here is even more out of focus as it's a little further away from the camera. Again, still want to get a little bit of a fuzzy feel to it. I wonder, I think it was on the artcast I was listening to today, which is Friday, so they recorded it Wednesday night. Wednesday night is when they do their artcasts now. I think this is when they talked about this, but somebody, Jeff, I think, talked about how videos on YouTube, like art videos, sometimes will get more hits if it's a tutorial, if it's specifically like, this is a art tutorial. And I've always shied away from doing a tutorial because I don't mind giving art tips here and there, but I sometimes don't feel like an expert enough to really be saying like, this is how it should be done, right? So I feel pretty comfortable with saying like, oh look, here's a little trick to do eyelashes, clump them together. But I don't know if I'm pompous enough or confident enough, you could look at it the positive or negative way, to be like, all right, I'm a good artist, so you should do it like this. So I don't know if I really want to label any of my videos a drawing tutorial or a whatever tutorial. It's a tough call. I'm kind of caught in the middle on that one. Okay, I might have to do a little background too, because right now it's just this stark white that's just not really adding anything. So let's start with just maybe a 2. And get darker around the outside edges and lighten up as I come down and closer. That's what I do sometimes. I don't really know why. I came up with I talk a lot about backgrounds. It's one of my bigger weaknesses in my opinion. I sometimes don't make backgrounds all that interesting, and yet some of my favorite artists are my favorite artists. Harley Brown, Harley Brown, because his backgrounds are so badass. He's mostly a pastel guy, and he just has these wild colors all over the place, and I think it looks super cool. Anyway, when I was drawing yesterday, or it might have been the day before, I did come up with a little color combination that I thought turned out pretty neat. So I might try that again for some of my color backgrounds. I wonder if I want to go darker down here since it's light, the clothing's light, for a little contrast, but I also in one way feel like it's okay to lose that. Like right there, there's not a harsh line where the background hits the subject, you know, hits the clothing. Could probably go a little darker than that though too. How's that looking overall? Let's see where I'm at. Oh, that's the one I wanted. Let's try and give a little more form in here, just a touch. So let's see. Wish I had a good story for you guys. Maybe I can come up with one, but probably not. Too much pressure. Tomorrow's Halloween. I'm not sure if I have big plans. I think we're gonna go trick-or-treating with my niece or nieces. My nieces are pretty rad. They're sisters, and they have quite a story, but I won't get into it too much. But they did. They're what, 4 years apart or something, and for the first several years of their life, they didn't know each other, and so it's kind of cool now that they're, you know, able to. That's the long story that I don't want to get into. But now they're like sisters, and they see each other all the time, and they fight just like you're supposed to with your siblings, right? Right, Body? My brother's name is Body, and we fought all the time. No, I'm being totally sarcastic. My brother and I got along like siblings are not supposed to. His name's Scott. We just call him Body because, duh, look at him. I didn't give him that nickname. My buddy David Lundy did. David Lundy, who I've mentioned many a time on my, not my artcasts, but my 100 Days of Sketch Cards type videos, because I played his music often. He's got some pretty cool, he's got some great music, but it makes good like background music for that type of thing, in my opinion. Alright, how close am I to, I feel like there's still something, like quite a bit more to be done, but I'm not sure what. So I might be close to needing to shut down the video and then just continue recording, so that if I do turn this into a time lapse, I can add on the last bit, but I can do it without having to try and talk at the same time. Not sure I'm quite there yet, though. We'll see. Let's see here. There's something in here I'm not sure what I want to do. Like this area. I feel like it needs a little bit more. I don't know, like I can't really see what the hair's doing because of the background, but I don't want to make this really dark background back there either and lose where that hair is. That's one of my areas that I could use a lot more work, is being able to kind of fake it, kind of fill in the gaps of where I can't see something really well. Oh, let's do this here. I went right over her little barrette. I might have to go a little darker to get that to pop back out. Ah, I see. Let's do some detailing in the ear back there too. I don't know, what do you guys think? Is this kind of coming together a little bit? Would you be happy with this if you were the daddy and this was your kiddo? This drawing is from Mr. M. He's a cool guy. I like him. He's real goofy. I think he's quite likable. He's somebody who makes a real effort to connect to people, which I think is cool. I wish I was more like that. I think I'm not exactly shy, but I am shy in certain ways, and that's one of them. I'm not really get out there and try and, I don't know, try and make connections with people. Sometimes I just kind of sit back and let things happen around me. In the right scenarios, I can really come out of my shell, and I don't think most people would call me a shy person, but I'm also not all that outgoing, and it's the word I'm looking for. It's not just outgoing. Like, I'm not the type to initiate things, whatever that is. Like, say there's a new coworker in my building. I'm not really the person who's very good at coming up and saying, "Oh, hey," introducing myself and making that person feel at home, because I feel just as awkward as they do with them around. I don't know if that's a good example, but yeah, I'm shy in that sense. Alright, let's give her a little bit of color in her lips. Man. Ugh. I'm mostly, for the most part, I'm happy with this, but I think it's going to take some more work off camera. I'm not crazy about the likeness, and she's just not quite cute enough in the drawing to match real life, and it's important that she is. So it might be tricky. We'll see. I think I need to see it with fresh eyes to be able to make the right changes, which means probably I'll have to put it down for a while. Let's see, let's give that a, what is that? There's a name for that kind of shadow. It's not a cast shadow. Is it a core shadow? I'm not sure. I should know. Absolutely. But I don't. And let's soften it back up a little bit. This is what Copics are good at. Is that kind of thing. Like, I took, I could blend the shades quite well there. And I might use the white pen to kind of do some of this too. I might put some whites in here where some of these highlights are. Let's try and get this little, see, that's a 0. I almost need a 0, 0, one in between for areas like this, so I can really gently suggest the, wow, they're singing. So I can really gently suggest some of the different values. Boy, yeah, I'm losing my words. Anyway. Oh, well, I think I'm at a pretty good point to stop the video here. Thanks for checking it out here, guys. Hopefully it won't be a long time before I have another video. Maybe I'll start doing some more of my sketchy ones on camera, just little quick warm-ups just to keep talking. in front of the camera and keep drawing, even though the projects I'm working on are not things I can do on camera. Actually, I'm recording a little bit on camera as I go, and then once the set is released, I'll be able to have maybe like a couple time-lapse ones to show. It's a little silly, in my estimation, to try and do a full art cast on one like that, where I can't show the video for months until the product is released, and then be like, talking about something that by the time you actually get to watch the video is completely irrelevant. So I think I'll shy away from that for that reason, and just maybe record a couple of those and just turn them into a time-lapse video instead of a full talking artcast video. Anyway, that's what I got for right now. I think I'm gonna keep working on it a little bit to try and really bring it together, and I'll do that on camera so that, like I said, if I want to make this one into a time-lapse too, I can. Oh, I just looked at the time. I went over an hour. Barely. I don't know why. I always kind of shoot for an hour. Alright. Yeah. Thanks for watching. You don't have to like my videos or subscribe to my channel or any of that stuff unless you really want to see more of my artwork. If you do, by all means. Comments are even better. Say something and ask me questions and I'll answer them or whatever. Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.